Okay, there we go. So yeah, welcome to today's webinar. We're going to go through Smart 360. We're really excited to show you Smart 360 today. It is a free professional learning platform. It is a virtual platform that Smart adopted at the start of last year because we run so many virtual events. And with all the events being cancelled last year, we really had to think of a new game plan, and that ended up being Smart 360, and we're very proud to show it to you today. It is a very awesome virtual event platform. It is definitely not your normal event platform. I was a part of the research team that hunted down and reviewed many of the virtual platforms out there, and this was by far up there with one of the best. So my name is Kendall Havenstein. I should introduce myself first. I'm the Marketing and Operations Manager for Smart Australia New Zealand. I'm going to take you through a few housekeeping slides, and then I'm going to actually hand it over to today's presenter, and then I'll be back again at the end to do a quick wrap up. Okay, so with your control panel, you can shrink it down if it's in your way. Just click on the white and orange arrow at the top left, and that'll shrink it down to just that little grey panel. To pop it back out, you just click on the arrow again. You can ask questions throughout. I'll be here supporting the presenter in the background, taking any questions that come in. If you don't get an answer straight away, it might be because I'm waiting to the end to ask the presenter directly, because we will have a short question and answer segment at the end of the webinar where you will be able to ask the presenter directly. You might not get an answer straight away because I know possibly that your question will be answered as the presentation unfolds. So at the end, during the short question and answer segment, you can come off mute to ask your question directly that way. So you just raise your hand and then I'll take you off mute. I'll make sure I certainly say your name first so you know when you're coming off mute. So you can earn a PD attendance certificate for this webinar. So if you just go to training.smarttech.com, and then in the middle, the certification blue box, you just click on Learn More. It'll pop out to our webinar library, navigate to this webinar, and then at the end of that webinar, a button will pop up, the Mark Complete button, which you can see down here on the left. If you just click on that button, it'll automatically generate you a PDF certificate with your name on it, as long as you're logged into your training.smarttech.com account. So I'd now like to introduce today's presenter. We have the awesome Molly Turner. Molly is a Sydney-based education consultant. She has over 15 years experience in education with varied roles, including a year level coordinator, years 7 through to year 12. She has experience across both the primary and high school sectors. The disciplines she taught include French and English, and she's also a SMART certified trainer. And Molly has several ways you can contact her. She's got her email address there just underneath her profile photo. You've got molly@smarttech.com, and then her Instagram handle, which is @mollysmartau. And then you've also got her Hello Smart and her class number there, but I believe that she's not doing a Hello Smart today, so you don't need to worry about that today. And I will now hand it over to today's presenter. Thanks, Molly.
Thank you so much, Kendall, and for that lovely introduction. I will just share my screen with everybody. So hopefully that's coming through. Show my screen. Looking good, Kenny?
Yep, we can see it.
Thank you. Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on our last webinar for the term. I just can't believe how quickly this term has flown by. I'm sure everybody is feeling exactly the same. And the best part about it is a couple of weeks to go and we get our lovely Easter break. So look, what a great way to end off the term is to explore our Smart 360 platform. It will give you a lot of content to go through on your holidays when you have that break and want to sit back and listen quietly on the couch to a couple of really interesting webinars. So what I'll do for you here is I'm on the landing page for it. Now, this is a completely free professional learning site, okay? And what I'll do is I'll just grab the URL and I'll pop it in the chat for us here. So hopefully everybody gets it. I think I can just, there you go, chat. Pop it in here. Send it to audience. Hopefully that's gone through to everybody. And you can also click on the link. So if you wanted to do that and you want to look at my screen or if you just wanted to, you can do that, that's totally fine. But if you also wanted to kind of follow along and listen to my guidance, then you could click on the link and come up here and register. So you would just click on the register button and you would just be taken to a little registration page where you can pop in your details there. Now I've already registered, so I'm going to go into login. And then I'm going to take you for a tour around this really cool space. So just so you know, here there is a bit of a description obviously about what it is. It really is a place for us to explore, learn and connect. And when we say connect, it really is on that global scale. We are a global company. We have many connections with global networks and amazing educators and leaders in the space of education, including sort of academics, that we lean on to provide this awesome content in here. So yeah, that's basically what the site sort of entails. And if I just pop in here to log in and I put my email address in, and it pushes me into this cute little site. So as Kendall mentioned before, there was a lot of research around these virtual platforms. And VFAIR just provided such a cool experience. So for anybody on the call that remembers SimCity, it's definitely reminiscent of that there. So what will happen though today, just so you know, because I'm on the webinar, there's a tiny bit of lag in the VFAIRS platform. That won't be the case if you're just entering in the site and not being on a video conference call like Teams or GoToWebinar, okay? So as you can see, it's just loading there a little bit for me. And it's loading the first little welcome video, which we don't need to watch, but you can always sort of pop in and have a listen to the team at Calgary. So I hit enter event and I zoomed in. Hopefully it doesn't make you seasick. And we arrive in our great little interactive lobby. So it is, you know, very much emulated on those real experiences of those massive conferences, which we really haven't been able to attend sort of face to face. And so you can imagine how popular sort of this has been, particularly for our North American counterparts and those in Europe. So look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a walkthrough. It is a really user-friendly site. If you can click on something, the little click button will hand will pop up. I do want to sort of call out some really key features in here though. So this little banner always gives us our little notifications, and what you might find is sometimes you come in here and there might be some different activity happening. We often run events from here. So we ran our Inspired Greatness Conference last year. We had an amazing turnout of people sort of coming into this space, either live or then on demand, and accessing our teacher workshops and our exhibit hall, partner exhibit hall and everything like that. So sometimes there are events that are running here, and we'll often push out any of that you know, communication if there is an event coming up. We had one at the beginning of the year called the Edu Summit, which was really fantastic. What's great about that, it doesn't matter if you miss the event, what we'll often do is keep the recordings of some of the keynotes and allow them to sort of stay in this platform for quite a while. And then we're also constantly updating this platform as well with new presentations too. Want you to sort of keep a little eye out for our little smart monsters, and I'm going to tell you the significance of those in a minute, so you can click on those. Okay, all little congratulations. Ooh, wonder what that means. I'll show you later. Okay, cool. So first of all, what I'd like you to check out once you're in here is the Education Auditorium. So you can either go, there's your main menu up here, but there's also obviously down here, and it's almost like you're clicking through to those rooms, okay? And it will give you the different auditoriums that, oh, did anyone spot Hilfi? That are available, okay? So I can click on there. Now this has just been refreshed in the last couple of days. It's normally a lot more sort of packed with content. I think they're getting ready for another event, but not to worry. All of our main keynotes that had been sitting here, they're actually just sitting in the other auditoriums. Okay, so look, these are our ones that are coming up, as well as you can see there it says Friday, March 19, and that's EST, so Eastern Standard Time, not obviously yeah, in America. So what you can do after that is there'll be a little play button underneath. So I'll show you in the other auditoriums. Okay, so now we're going to just go in through to instructional solutions room. Again, pretty cute. I think it's so neat to have all of like the graphics that they do. Now this one, I do want to show you, if I do have any language teachers on the call today, this is actually, we've allocated this space here, so instructional solutions, to our non-English speaking presentation. So we've got all of our amazing our educators, sorry, I should say, and also sort of people that work at Smart too, all the way from across from France and Italy and Germany and Russia and Finland. And so if you do have another language, if you're lucky to have another language, and maybe you want to pop in here and listen to what's happening in education around the globe, okay? Coming through to the Leading Together room. Oh, there's another monster. We can click through to that one, and here I'm just going to call out the Australian content for you, and also some other presentations that I want you to keep an eye out for. So look, often we have updates in here, so if you are new to the technology, like you've just sort of recently purchased and you want to see sort of what's been updated, Catherine and Amy often do show me the updates, as well as myself, when we often try and do an update one at the beginning of our webinar series. This live lesson at Curl North, that's a big call out, okay? So what I want to tell you about this is we had this live lesson at our Inspire Greatness conference last year, and it was just so popular. So you can play that presentation, and basically we've got two of our teachers from a Smart Exemplary School, North Curl here in Sydney on the Northern Beaches, and it really is a live lesson. So you can imagine with Year 4s, and the teachers have been using smart technology in their classroom for quite a while, so they are quite familiar with it, but it's a really great insight into not only obviously how the teachers sort of use it, but how the students interact with it, and that's a real treat. So to get that real intimate look into a smart classroom, that would probably be my #1 pick if you're in here. So just going down the list as well, we've got some more Australian content that was also part of our Inspire Greatness. So here from our Melbourne teachers, obviously having to go into their remote learning 2.0, which was, they did have a little bit of time to plan for this one, so it's really interesting to sort of see they were very new on their smart journey, and how they were able to sort of really use it easily to enable that remote learning environment that was really successful. Other things I'd like to point out, so when you see keynote, that's obviously one of our keynotes that's been at one of the major events that we have been running. So by all means, they are, you know, from celebrated educators or academics, leaders in the industry, that have some really interesting insights that you may want to tap into. And what's great, I think, about these particular presentations, so things like engaging students in remote learning, and even the live lesson at Curl gives you that very sort of practical demonstration, if you like, of, you know, using smart in the classroom. But obviously, if we're looking at things like keynotes, we're talking about big ideas, changing or emerging pedagogies, or, I mean, we all know that there's been massive shifts in education, and particularly education and technology in the last year, and to get that global perspective is they're really interesting presentations. So tap into those. The other thing I'd like to sort of point out in this one here is we do have a series of webinars from our education strategists here at SMART, and they are always named EdShift, okay? So EdShift is this series of webinars, which I'll show you how to find the entire series, but anytime you kind of see that pop up, again, they're talking about bigger ideas in education. So this one obviously is around the pandemic and reshaping the classrooms, maybe not so relevant for us, but we can have a look. There's a lot more that they do there with things like, you know, student or assessment or student efficacy and student-centered learning and choice and voice. And so these really kind of bigger ideas, which I've just recently actually had a school approach and ask, you know, we're about to plan our professional learning strategy for the year or the semester. Do you have any content where, you know, we're focusing obviously on things like the solo taxonomy, and they were focusing on visible learning and student-centered learning as well, and social and emotional learning. And I said, look, pop in here. As you can see, I'll call out a few in a minute. There are some webinars already, and we often sort of sometimes have resources as well. So it's a really good starting point. It's a really nice way to marry up any kind of, you know, main themes and ideas that schools might be looking at to focus on for their professional learning. There's always that happening at a school, like, you know, this term or semester where, you know, it's a big focus on assessment or feedback or visible learning. And you can come in here and kind of arm yourself with some amazing ideas before sort of then planning. So yeah, they popped in here and they're finding lots. Oh, look, we've even got little Australian flags, some of the other content as well, calling out again North Curl and this amazing Q&A panel that we did at our Inspire Greatness conference. So look, that's it. You'll see some flags, obviously, to see where they are. Here's another one with the EdShift label, elevating student voice and driving engagement. So I really do sort of call those out. I mean, in saying that, you know, if you are new to SMART as well, there are some that are very much, you know, back to notebook 101 kind of deal. So moving through the auditoriums, and if we go to, no, we were leading together, weren't we? Innovation with technology. You'll find some more Australian content up here that we had again at our conference if you happen to miss it or wanted to revisit it. And then the great Chris Astle as well, our education strategist. The other one as well down in here, which is fantastic, is we were lucky enough to get the Chief Global Content Officer at Learnit, which is a very celebrated global organisation that, yeah, has, you know, really big ideas obviously in education and technology. So that's a really interesting presentation there on rethinking assessment. So by all means, you know, I'd suggest that you tap into that one as well. There are some, you know, fantastic ideas, and it's in the Catalyst style. So I'm not sure if anyone's been lucky enough to be on one of our Catalyst at one of our Catalyst events, but it is a sort of a way for our community to get together and have a really honest conversation about what's happening. So it's a way to sort of share ideas and to connect with community. If that's something you're interested in, you could drop Kendall a line now in the chat if this is something you'd like to perhaps get going in your school or your school district, if you happen to be in look after sort of a pocket of schools. Social emotional tools for active learning, that might sound very familiar. We did our own version of this in our webinar series just recently, but there is the Canadian version as well there for you to tap into. Okay, and lastly, I think we've just got with the teaching with tech. Oh, there's another one. We've got some more Australian content here with our Megan Parsons, who's one of our most celebrated SMART ambassadors. She does phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal content teaching resources, just to tap into that to get some ideas on how to use Notebook or how to use Smart Learning Suite online with her classroom. Is this one, oh no, this is differentiating the curriculum. I think, yeah, it is with the junior and middle college is the focus there. But by all means, you can obviously translate any of those activities into whatever setting you're in. And then this space here, I noticed, has a lot around emerging pedagogy. So your things like your student-centered learning and your voice and choice. So this one here, creating lifelong learners through self-efficacy. That's a really cool, Chris has some amazing ideas around that and how you can weave it into any teaching and learning program. It's not obviously taught separately, it's weaved within the curriculum. Here's some early learning notebook strategies if anyone's from that teaching space. And here we go, the creating choice and voice. So what we've got here is we also have a couple of ways. I think it's easily add, where was it? There's another ed shift. Yeah, let's put into practice. See, sometimes they marry up. It's a little bit annoying that they're not together, but I might ask to get those popped together. So let's put into practice student choice and voice. If there's a let's put into practice before it, it means that there's been a webinar that's sort of, they're like two-parters, and it'll be student choice and voice, which I think was at the top here. And then if you watch that one first, yeah, how to create voice and choice using Smart, and then the putting into practice. So that'll be the sort of, the first part is the high level overview, like what is choice and voice, how can we enable it in the classroom, what's its benefits, that kind of look. And then we'll show how to, you know, ensure, you know, that your activities or your tasks are fostering that choice and voice. And then we've also got the second part to that will be the how to. So really like grab a PowerPoint, put it into SLSO, add these pages, change this to this. So the really step-by-step how to. Yeah. So have a look at that. Alrighties, so there are auditoriums. As you can see, there is so much free content. Please don't be put off by if it is, you know, there's the Canadian or American flags flying. It is very relevant still to our teaching spaces. And then, like I said before as well, there is some Australian content. We might need to come in and get them to pop up a few more flags on our presentations there as well. There's quite a huge handful. Cool. So I'm going to head back to the lobby. Oh, there's the little one. And the next place I'm going to show you is our auditoriums, okay? So we've got our not auditoriums, that's exactly where it was, our exhibit halls. So we've got our education exhibit halls over here, or of course up here as well. And I click through to that one, and then there's a smart exhibit hall and international. So I'm going to click on the smart exhibit hall. Now this is, oh, there's Bolly, a really, really fun way. I'm actually in here more now than our website. Don't tell my work that. But I love it. I think it's really cool. I love the layout. I find it really easy to navigate. I've just got so much content at my disposal, and it's just, yeah, I really enjoy it. So look, this has a lot to do with our products and our services, okay? So just so you know, there's an exhibitor index just running down the side here. So if you are like, oh, we're a Microsoft school, we've just bought a whole lot of Smart products. How can we integrate Smart and Microsoft? Well, go to the Smart and Microsoft stand, and there'll be all these resources for you to look at, okay? So you can go in here and you can, these are all links out. So there's probably a little, that might go to our website, for example. Let's see what they've done here. Yeah, a great little page about all of our integrations. And then there's also other really cool things like videos. You can watch a little video on Smart Ink and Microsoft or Microsoft Teams integration. So many more teachers are using Teams now, which is great. And obviously I use it a lot for, not obviously, but I use it a lot for work, which is great. But to see as well how it's being used in education space is actually really cool. I really like it. So there's a lot there on Microsoft Teams integration. And don't just think, you know, if it's remote, it's for video conferencing. They've got a really cool setup. You probably know already. Okay, so look, and then if I go back, the other ones as well that I had on the list as my call outs to look at, yeah, is the professional learning booth. So just across here, I can scroll through like that. That might make you a bit sick. Or I could go to my exhibitor index down there and click through to them, okay? There's a little video on how it works. So the professional learning one, I thought, that's the topic. How much more professional learning can we get? So obviously we have this awesome 360 site, but we have so much more as well. So there's a lot to do here with videos, a lot of getting started. So getting started with Notebook, getting started with Smart Learning Suite Online. There's a, you know, really cute little videos that you can watch in the site, okay? So that's not a little one, that's a big one, but that would be a webinar. So they're great that you can watch it in the site there. And then there's also, for those of you, I know we've got a few people really engaging with our certified training courses. So we've got a little click through there for those self-paced training and certification. So if that's something you are interested in doing, is getting yourself certified so you can better support your school or even your area. So before, when Kendall introduced me, I was a Smart certified trainer, and before I joined the team at Smart, I actually became a trainer. I was a trainer, and I used to go to schools, all different schools, and train them, and it was a really great gig actually. So we can do that. So you can get certified. There's free training where you can earn badges. Obviously that then goes towards your self-nominated PL hours, okay? And look, bear with us. We did have our NESA accreditation for these courses. Unfortunately, that's all changed this year with the whole overhaul with NESA for any of those New South Wales teachers on the call. So look, there's cool little webinars you can go through, and then courses, and then these are the actual programs that you can start. You can definitely start these three here without having to do any payments. And then if you did want to get your actual accreditation, there is a payment involved. Okay, so that's the professional learning. Really fun stuff as well. When you go to a booth, there's all these little documents attached, right? So you might have a look here about educators in schools across North America. That's not really for us, but I could view that document and I could be like, oh, that looks cool. I want that. Just like you would at an expo, right? You might come through and have a look at brochures. It is just loading. Cool. You're like, oh, that looks great. I like that. And so you pop it into your swag bag. You just click swag bag and then pop it in your swag bag. And there you go. And at the end, I'll show you how we then send all this stuff to us in our swag bag. So look, that's pretty fun. If you're just on the beginnings of your smart journey and you need to convince your principal about buying some interactive displays, there's some really great information here for you to pass on. Again, there's also some other, all of our additional products too. So, oh, there's Molly. Okay, so hopefully that's good. Look, at home and gamification. This is a really fun one as well. We're doing a lot of new stuff here. A lot of you would already know that we do have a gamification feature in our software and online platform. We are developing, oh, there's Love Lab. We are developing another platform as well called Monsters versus Fractions, which, yeah, there you go. You'll have to sign up for that. It's in the beta version, I believe. Cool. And again, documents, I could come in here and have a look at, the Monsters versus Fractions teacher guide. They must have released it. And I can pop in my swag bag. So yeah, lots to check out. Obviously, I'm not going to go through every one with you, but we will sort of move on from here. I'll get back to the lobby. Okay. So the last thing I want to show you, I don't know how to do this. Actually, well, let's just stick with the exhibition hall and we'll go to the international one, and that's what it is. Again, any language teachers on the call, you can tap into and reach out to this, those in Spain and France and the Nordics and say good day or bonjour. And you can connect with their team and even their smart ambassadors as well. So don't be shy. We really love building a community of practice, okay? And that's not unusual, yeah, for our teachers to sort of connect. We have our own, this is what I wanted to show you here, our Australia, New Zealand, which is where we say g'day, and we've got some cool stuff here, like in terms of being able to connect with the smart team, and some other resources and content for you. So we've got some great little videos around remote learning in Australia, the Holroyd's 22 Edtech capabilities. If that has been on your radar, that's a really good video. I'll kind of chat briefly about that in a second, but that's a really interesting case study. Okay, so definitely have a check out that video. And documents that we've got here as well as some other resources that we have been asked sort of regionally to pop up in there that were quite useful. Now, if you have a look here as well, so we've got our educational resources, which is always really helpful for our teachers, so we're able to go in here and sort of have a look at. Now just fill this out. If you fill out the form, you'll get sent an amazing bank of resources, anything from actual like Australian content notebooks to Smart Learning Suite Online. A lot of those, so remember I showed you those webinars before from like Chris Astle doing things like enabling student voice and choice. We've actually asked them for those resources. So if you watch that webinar and then what you can do is ask us for the resource, yeah, we've got that resource for you, so you can actually put that into your own bank of resources, okay? So there's two ways of doing that. You can either just contact us directly or email me if you want from that email address, or hit on the free education resources. So I highly recommend you fill out that form when you go to it, and you'll get sent an amazing, it's an email that has heaps of links with, we've sort of picked the cream of the crop, yeah? Okay. The other thing I'll just point out while we're here is if you click through onto the Ed to Ed webinar series, obviously you'll go to our landing page that has all of ours for this term. Come and check back in here during the holidays, or I hope Kendall and I will be organised by then, with our next lot of webinars coming up. And at the end of this, I will ask you guys for some feedback. It'd be great to hear what kind of content you're after. What do you really like to sort of see? So we'll do that at the end. So yeah, you can click through here. So as you can see, like this site is just packed full of little areas to explore. And the other thing I'd like to call out now is the research room. I think this is a really fantastic addition. There's a couple of things in here that I'll just, show you. So these case studies and customer stories, again, are a really sort of nice way of coming in to see, you know, how schools have been using the technology and their success stories, basically. So there's some really cool stories in there for you to look at. There's a couple that are on their way. So the education best practices is a bit of a work in process at the moment. We do have our recorded webinars. So if you click through here to recorded webinars, it goes to that EdShift. Remember I told you about the EdShift webinars before? So there's things coming up, I think. That looks new, Kendall. I wasn't expecting that to click through there.
I think
sorry.
if you click on videos, oh, that's all good.
It's in there. Yeah, cool. That was on the recorded, wasn't it? Yeah, great. So you've got just the EdShift ones. Yeah. And then we've also got our training and best practices. So again, that takes you back to our free training and our webinars. This is where I think there's been an amazing amount of contributions just over the past year. So the global research and impact reports, we have always grounded our technology in academic research. But it was only recently, because of, I suppose, that shift in education in the last 12 months, almost to the day, we have done a lot of research around being remotely ready, or the Global Online Learning Alliance report on teaching and assessments, which was a really interesting. It started off as a catalyst event where we got, ministers of education and leaders in education from across the globe to come on into that catalyst style event and chat really candidly and openly and honestly, because no names are ever attached to anything, about their experiences. And they synthesize that into a report. So it's very interesting. We had a lot of Australian leaders in that as well. So some amazing insights. The Global Insights on EdTech Capabilities and Outcomes, I highly recommend you read that. It's a very interesting research that we've done there around EdTech capabilities. We're really interested as a company to ensure that our technology is going into classrooms and actually having an effect on student outcomes. So we did a lot of research around, well, what is it? We know that we can't just put technology in a classroom and all of a sudden increase student achievement. That just doesn't happen like that. There are so many components to a successful implementation of technology in a school setting. So have a read of that. We did a massive literature synthesis or literature review of, all the major reports from people like ISTE and OECD, what they were saying and what their findings were and what our research as well. And that came up with that 22 EdTech capabilities. So if that has sparked a bit of your interest, by all means, have a read of that report there. Again, I could just pop it in my swag bag. And then even come through to this EdTech assessment. Now, this is a little taster for you if you are interested in doing this on a large school scale. So for those ICT integrators on the call, or if we have anyone in leadership positions and you're looking for a way to find the data and analytics to know your environment, your tech environment, then we can administer this 22 EdTech capability survey that gives you the data and analytics around the areas of focus and the areas that you're doing really, really well in, to ensure that any technology plans that you're making, does have the best chance of increasing student outcomes. So yeah, obviously a larger conversation. I'm sure we'll do a webinar next term, I'm thinking now, Kendall. It's very lots of schools have been taking this up. So yeah, keep an eye out for that on the 22 EdTech assessments. But you can have a little taster here. So if you go through, it'll take you to, and you can gauge, around what do you want to assess. Maybe you do head up your professional development in your school, and maybe you want to see if it's being successful, if you're implementing certain measures that have been known and tried and tested as being sort of successful. Maybe you're part of the leadership team and you want to have a look, or maybe you want to see if what your ideas about the leadership team are actually that they're equipped for strategic technology planning. So it's a really good way to collect data. We know that there's it's all in the data these days. So being able to understand and survey your environment and having a good insight into that. So this will sort of enable that. But look, if you are doing it on a whole school scale, like if you are interested in looking at that across the school, please get in touch with us directly here in Australia. Okie dokies. Look, the only other things I will show you here, if we just head back to the lobby, we do have our little networking lounge, which is totally fun when we have an event on, and that we can go into the chat room and chat with people or chat with the SMART team directly and ask some questions. I know it is really nice to get that direct channel into our head office in Calgary, and they are always so welcoming of feedback, and yeah, your thoughts and ideas. That we often sort of funnel that back to our product development team, yeah, because it really sort of helps us in designing the best. Okay, so there are also our social handles there if you want to click through to our Facebook or LinkedIn sites, and here's this little leaderboard. So you would have seen me clicking around those little monsters, and basically what happens in here, and I think they run this every month. Is that right, Kendall? So at the end of every month, they'll come in and say, look, Lisa Gibbs is absolutely killing it. Every time that you interact with a piece of content, every time you click on one of those little monsters, every time you grab something in your swag bag or watch a video, you get points for it, okay? And you can see all the different, this is how you can get those different points, okay? And then basically what happens is you get these smart prizes. So if you do your, I think is it top 3 in the country, Kendall? Like we had 2, was it last month, that had been in the top of the leaderboard?
It's not done every month. It's done every.
Okay.
It's hard to know because we have done it once, but Smart 360 hasn't been running for a year yet.
Yeah, right.
So it's only once, but we had it's the top 3 of, there's a scavenger hunt and then there's the leaderboard.
Oh, cool. Thanks for clarifying that,
the
Kendall.
leaderboard. Yeah.
So it is fun. We did have some that were top of the leaderboard that got like the Amazon gift card, and even like a little smart pack, which is really cute. So if you're into prizes, anything free, and you want to get rewarded for your effort in coming in and upskilling or building on your knowledge or professional learning, then this is a really cool way to do it and get paid off for it. Look, that really is it for today. We've got a business pavilion. If anyone's interested in that, it's not in our education space. Some of you might know that Smart also does products for business and enterprise. So that's the little pavilion for them. But as you can see, it is very education centric, and we are constantly trying to update information, and we are constantly trying to update our webinars in there and our content in there. So what I might do, well, let's just do it in the chat today. There's not too many people, it won't be too saturated. We'd really love to hear from you guys. If you wanted just to open up your little chat box, what are some of the can we do a question out, Kenny? How does that work? Questions? No. Or the poll we have to set up beforehand, don't we?
Yep. So if you go into chat.
Yep.
And then all entire audience.
Okay, great, guys. So I want to know, here we go. What type of content would you like to see? So what types of content would you like to see perhaps in a space like this? And what topics would you like on the Australia-New Zealand webinar list for next term? All right, give you guys a second. I should have some little music in the background, elevator music going. We're going to finish up early today, guys, so it's actually really good. You get some time back, but hopefully you can just pop a little bits of any questions as well that you might have for us. Feel free to pop it in. Okay. Well, look, Kendall's going to do the wrap up. you do still have time. Oh yeah, some coming in now. To list any topics that you'd like on the ANZ webinar list for next term, or perhaps what kind of content would you like to see in VFairs? You've still got a little bit of time. All right, Kendall, I might pop it back to you.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll just start sharing my screen. Last week we ran about 20 minutes overtime, so we're giving everybody back that time that they all stayed in last week, and everyone managed to stay back last week, even though it was 20 minutes overtime. So you should all be able to see my screen now. And thanks so much for that presentation, Molly. It was so jam-packed. There is lots of content in Smart 360. So you can also get free resources from our Smart Exchange. So if you just go to content.smarttech.com, and then if you search for resources, and then you can also filter it down by grade and by subject. So those who came in late at the start, I know there was one or two that popped in just after my opening presentation. So you can earn a PD certificate for this webinar if you just go to training.smarttech.com and then click on the certification box, which I think Molly actually briefly showed you inside that part of the website during the webinar just now. So if you click on the certification box, and then if you click on navigate to this webinar, and then click on the mark complete button at the end, which you can see down here in the picture on the left, and then it'll automatically generate you a PDF certificate. So that actually, as Molly said, that wraps up the term. So please, there will be a survey that's pushed out at the end of this webinar as well, if you didn't get to add in your suggestions into the chat just now that Molly placed in there. So there'll be a survey. It also does ask you what topics you would like for webinars coming up. So next term, we will be planning it pretty much straight away. So please fill out that survey, add in some ideas, because we'd love to give you guys what you would like.